We have to announce this. I guess I'll announce this now. Every week on Saturday, we run a weekly C/OCE tournament. It's basically the same as this. We feature the same players. Grand Platypus Open, but we will be postponing that, or we'll be canceling that this week due to the ANZ champ groups. They will be the schedule was announced earlier today, actually, and yeah, they're going to be running all throughout the weekend. Friday as well. Like 4 or 5 hour broadcasts each day, so yeah, there's gonna be a lot of StarCraft, and we didn't want to clash with them. We don't want to cannibalize the viewership and split people when we all want to support the same region.
A lot of regulars are also going to be playing in inside groups, so
yeah,
that's definitely something we don't really want to make these players choose, right? You either play in ANZ champs or GPO. What's it gonna be? I feel like that's an easy decision there. But speaking of easy decisions, we are now going to be coming in onto our first map. It is going to be Death Aura, which is the easiest decision when you're trying to pick the map for the upcoming series. Here in the top left-hand corner map, spawning in the top left-hand corner of the map, we do in fact have a purple Protoss player coming down all the way from the land of M for Melbourne and M for Mindfreak SC. Give it up for the purple Protoss player, Pezz. Love that alliteration.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the Indian Zerg player representing Downfall Gaming. It is Demi.
I'm getting a lot of deja vu here, Light, because as I was casting yesterday with Quirky, one thing that it was a bit of a story that Quirky told me that just really stuck in my mind, and eventually we did see it again. It was NXZ versus, I think it was Pezz. I think it was versus Pezz, where NXZ on Death Aura just went for a sort of mass Swarmhost Nidus style, and eventually yesterday we saw it once again on Death Aura, that time versus Psycho. So I feel like it's something that I'm not sure if it's an NXZ specific thing or a Death Aura thing.
I would say that
like a Swarmhost back in the day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an NXZ thing. Because we also casted him, and I'm pretty sure he did that against Justice Simon. He did that against Quantel. He did that like every single ZVP. It was his thing. Like, he's very fond of that Swarmhost style, and it was really interesting to see because it has gone out of fashion. It used to be a lot more prevalent every single time Swarmhost Nidus ZVP, and yeah, that isn't really a thing anymore. But NXZ, he's bringing it back.
I vaguely remember NXZ playing Swarmhost, maybe not Swarmhost or not Nidus at the time, sorry, but I vaguely remember NXZ being someone who really liked using Swarmhost way back in 2018.
Yep. And just quickly before the Twilight Council finishes, are we going to see a Dark Shrine? So on this map specifically, we've seen Pezz go for this Twilight Council robo opening with a Dark Shrine and try and pressure the third base with Adepts and DTs. And I may be throwing it a little bit out there, but we could see that again today. I'm
just keeping my eye on the top left-hand corner for you, Light. There's no research yet on the Twilight Council. There's Glaive.
There we go. Glaive Adepts on the way instead. And yeah, again, Pezz does enjoy this. He does alternate between Glaive Adepts. He goes Stargate Openers as well. Something that I really do want to emphasize is that Pezz IMO has the best PvZ in the region, and he's gone back and forth with Demi. And we even saw that culminate over the weekend where I was talking to Quirky about this. He beat Gogo Joey twice in a best of 3 and a best of 5, and you never see that happen. Like, Gogo Joey, he's been dominant in GPO this year, and Pezz has just been coming out strong.
That he definitely has. It was definitely one of the most I'm not sure what word to use. I guess uplifting things to really see, because Gogo Joey was really Pezz's nemesis for the longest time. The one thing that really sticks with me, the one series that I remember was, I think, the second finals between Pezz and Gogo Joey in a week. Pezz went up 2-0, went up to match point, but then Gogo Joey just went for the reverse sweep. And now that Pezz has been able to finally sort of slay his demon, so to speak, things are definitely looking up for our Australian Protoss player. I mean, he even 2-0 probed today.
Yeah, like that was even succeeded by the fact that he qualified for ANZ champs the day after he won GPO, and now here he is in the semis going up against his old nemesis in Demi, and we'll see how he can do here as more and more depths are being warped in. Glaves has finished up, and Demi, does he have enough to hold against this?
Well, the Roaches are only now getting on the way. I do really like the Zerglings just trying to get them surround on the Shades. If Pezz commits, cancels at the last second, but still can't quite get much done here, as there is a single Spinecrawler standing strong with the help of Transfuse.
Yeah, I love that Spinecrawler, to be honest. I don't know if you saw, but it got transfused as well. Like it's like it helped tank so much damage from those adepts, because typically we've seen queens stay there instead, and adepts slowly chip away and start taking out the queens one by one, and then things start snowballing as all the queens fall. But yeah, instead Demi opting for a spine.
That's something I only noticed yesterday while I was casting. Spinecrawlers, they have a lot of health on them, and that health translates into time.
Yeah,
it buys you time to get your other units out. In this case, for Demi, it bought him time to get the Roaches out, even more Lings. And he's basically kind of impenetrable right now if Pezz decides to go for that straight-up push.
Yeah, and it looks like Pezz, he isn't opting to do that. He does back off. He is getting his third base, and he started his Immortal production. He has a good amount of sentries, so defensively, Pezz should be good at home. And yeah, he's trying to deal some counteracting damage here across the map, but there are just so many queens here at the third base of Demi.
There are, which is why Pezz is now transitioning into the next phase of the game. He knows that so long as he's keeping watch, he should be safe to secure that third base, and he is building up that Soul Train. That's a Haluked Colossus.
That's interesting to say the least.
You know, away. It does. It's scary.
Yeah. Oh, but I think now I think he knows now.
Be certain. Yeah, he sees. Yeah. I like to imagine Demi, his heart skipped a beat. It was like, no, I moved command at no, and then he was like, wait, my Zergling's not dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was almost a big brain play there by Pezz. It almost worked out, but I think even Pezz is aware. Like,
I guess one thing to keep in mind as well is that Demi might have just ran away, not because of the Colossus, but just because you don't want to be committing too much supply into that many sentries.
Yeah, and we do see Demi just macroing up. He's taking his fourth base. He's got Roaches on the way. He's working on all his upgrades, sticking with this Roach tech. Meanwhile, Pezz, he's actually getting a robotic spay. All right, are we gonna actually see
a massive brain play? Like, this is a massive brain play saying, "Nope, I'm just getting Haluked Colossus, bro."
Yeah, forehead. It's just Haluked Colossus. It's fine. Really, he's actually getting Colossus. Wow.
Big brain. It'd be funny if he goes into Disruptors.
God damn it, Pezz. God damn it. But yeah, something that's interesting to say the least is that he's getting Blink, so it could be Disruptors. Like the more normal thing that you see is Charge Lots with Colossus, right? Because they kind of work together really well. Like Charge Lots do really well against Roaches, and then you don't go Disruptors because Disruptor Bulls they can deal like friendly fire.
Oh yeah, in those sort of situations, Chargelets are basically the force fields that fight back, aren't they?
Yeah.
They provide a lot of a buffer. It is in fact going to be Colossus this time, and Charge on the way. So yeah, I was actually really with you there, Light. I thought it was going to be that very rare sort of play where you see the Protoss player go right on forward with the Stalkers, just trying to get these perfect surrounds on the Zerg army before blinking away and letting the Purification over explode. But yeah, I guess it's just a bit of a backup here. Blink is a very versatile upgrade, useful on the back and the defense.
Part of me feels like getting Blink is a little bit inefficient, but it's a little bit of what you would do against a player like Demi, just in case it's a muta switch. You want And as I'm saying that, the Spire gets thrown down. So Pezz, he already has Blink Stalkers, so he can just warp in Stalkers, and it'll help so much defending against Mutalisks.
Yeah, Pezz is actually really covering his bases here, which, again, you were mentioning this at the start of the game. I feel like this is one of the reasons why Pezz's PvZ is so up there in the region, more so than even Probe.
Yeah, it does come down to the fact that he has a lot of practice. He's played a lot against these. Yeah, he's like,
can't
look,
get bamboozled anymore.
I know that Mutalisks are gonna take part in this game. Like, I'm gonna like prepare, set up preemptively, and yeah, we're gonna get in on this. In saying that, though, it is still something that he does need to scout just to be certain, so that he can prepare accordingly. Like, the Spire is still something that he hasn't seen, and we do see Demi getting ready for a Baneling run by.
Yeah, there is already a full wall off in the third base, but some pretty fragile buildings. I mean, will help nonetheless. Multi-prong coming out here from Demi, trying to go in 2 areas.
Now, does he think that they're hallucinated Colossus? Oh god, they're gonna crash in!
The Banelings are not coming in! The Colossus on move command, but thankfully there are enough Immortals and Archons there to tank the damage of those Banelings. So Demi not really getting a lot of use there, and behind this, 5 drones went down. I'm guessing 2 Adepts.
Yeah, that Warp Prism and those Adepts managed to find some damage, I imagine. And yeah, those Banelings, they just crashed into a couple of Gateway units like that. In the end, like, that's a solid trade from Pezz. Of course, he'd rather lose Gateway units than Probes.
Yeah, and that's good enough of a trade that it prompts Pezz to really start pushing in. Knows that Demi will have to remake those Banelings. He does have them.
Oh,
and it also kind of confirms to Pezz, you know, what tech Demi has. He realizes that he can fight this. Very good use of the Force Field Spear, the Thermal Lance of the Colossus, shredding all of these Banelings long before they can come in. And this is where the Blink comes into play. GG is called. Okay, Blink did not come into play, but I was going to say, this is where Pezz just blinks on forward, takes out everything else. Demi was so focused on his Baneling army. Pezz just decided to get the counter to that. You thought it was going to be Storm? You thought it was going to be Archons? No. Sentries and Colossus. It shreds them from afar.
GG, and that was insane to see. I don't know if you noticed, but Pezz was on top of his force fields. He force fielded the right side and the top, and then Demi immediately biled, and as soon as the bile went down, immediately the force field was replaced, and those Banelings didn't get anything done.
Yes, exactly. He kept those sentries alive for so long. That's why you didn't see any Haluk Colossus Airlight, because he was banking that energy up.
Yeah, he was, just for that. And I was getting a little bit worried because Demi, he was getting ready for his round. He had a bunch of Ravagers ready for the biles, but it didn't matter. Pezz was ready for it and already up 1-0 in this best of 3.
I feel like a lesser player would have spammed the force fields and not gotten the timing correctly, right? Yes, basically wasting that sentry energy, but Pezz, he kept his eye open. He made sure that his fingers were doing what they needed to do at the time they needed to do them.
Yeah, and as you were saying, like, he also knew when to go and when to go for that push, because it was right after all those Banelings were wasted. He's like, okay, now is the opportunity. Now is when I go out across the map. Because Demi, like, he's gonna have to remake the Banelings. Like, it's lower than it would have been, and yeah, he was just on top of that. Really well played.
Nicely done. We are going to be going on to our second map now, Ice and Chrome, which, to say that it's a different map than Death Aura, I think is putting it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, Death Aura does have those speed zones, which, again, I'm not too sure if it comes into play too much, but Ice and Chrome does feel like a more standard map. Personally, I enjoy it. I like the aesthetic.
I have very bad memories on this map, Light. I love this map. Then I played a single TvZ on it, and I decided, hey, I'm not going to blame myself here. I'm going to blame the map.
Of course.
Naturally.
Oh.
Oh.
Wrong server.
Well.
All right, it's all good. We'll be remaking as, fun fact for the people watching at home. Typically, when we head into Southeast Asian versus Australian matches, or OCE versus C, we alternate servers in between games. So if we have a best of 3, we go like one Australian server, the other Singapore, and then the other Australian. So we just go back and forth. As that's like the most fair thing, right? Like, yeah.
It's not technically a rule in ESL Open Cup Dare Cup, but it's something that the players are mindful of for each other.
Yeah. And like again, everyone's like, everyone knows each other. Like it's not like anyone wants to screw each other over. It's like we want to, play as fairly as possible. The only other thing would probably be everyone playing on Taiwan, I guess. But yeah,
then you have to go to the Asia server.
Yeah, it's quite a hassle, but we're fine doing it this way.
Would that be a middle ground? I think about it.
Kind of. So from my experience and from talking to pros as well, Taiwan for Australia is pretty similar to US West. Like it's fine, but it does give a slight advantage to C players because they're closer to Taiwan. So it's like
I guess it's also one of those things where it's based on where the connection is routed to, right? It's not necessarily the geography. I mean, the geography plays a big deal into that because that's the main thing to consider when they're routing the connection. But yeah. And speaking of connections, here we are in Ice and Chrome. I promised Corky that I would come up with the meme for this map. I have not yet, so I do apologize there. In the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning in the top right-hand corner of the map, we do in fact have our red Zerg coming down all the way from the Jewel of India. He is representing Downfall Gaming, the Grand Platypus himself. Can he make it to his third ESL Open Cup Fueled by Dare finals? We'll see. We have Demi.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ice and Chrome LE, we have the Australian Protoss player representing Mindfreak. It is Pezz.
All the way.
All right.
I don't know why that was my... I don't know. That was my phrase after you finished that.
Yeah, I was trying to
connect to Pezz.
I think in my mind
I was thinking of. In my mind, I was thinking of. Yeah, Pezz. Where is he from? Melbourne, right? Because he has the M for Mindfreak in Melbourne.
I don't think that's how you should connect dots, especially because there are plenty of Mindfreak players
it really messed with me. When I was introing Hut earlier, I was like, right, Hut from Melbourne, and then Vivid reminded me, no, he is from Sydney.
Yes. Shout out to Hut, by the way. It has been a couple of years, but he is the organizer of the Sydney Stim Pack, which was back in 2018, I think, that LAN that he hosted. So yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about so many players in the scene is that they've contributed. Pezz did his lands in Melbourne, Hut did his lands in Sydney, and Azure did BrizCraft in Brisbane.
That did happen back in 2018. It was a pretty good year for that. Stargate being thrown down now for Pezz, which is his preferred opening.
Yeah, again, it goes
too often, but when he does get to do it,
yeah, it goes to show again how versatile he is. Like, it's not like he's like a one-trick pony going for a depth printer every game. Instead he does switch things up, is going for Stargate. We will see. We'll have to keep an eye on whether he ends up throwing a second Stargate down, as we have seen mass Phoenixes come out from him from time to time.
That we have. Will it be the Oracle or the Phoenix is definitely going to be a bit of a question. Not that it changes too much. You're still looking to go in with some drone damage while taking out some overlords, but the timing can have a ripple effect.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely can, and we'll also see how many oracles he makes. And we've seen a couple of Protoss players go double oracle. We've seen some go triple oracle, and there it is, double Stargate.
That's a double Stargate that we've come to know and love from Pezz.
Yes.
Lots of Phoenixes should be coming out here, which shuts down Demi's preferred style of play, which is that Mutalisk's switch.
Yeah, like that's why this works so much better against these C Zergs. Like they love going for those Mutalisk switches, and already going for that double Stargate play will just shut that down before it even starts.
And it's also an investment for later on as the game goes on, isn't it? Like, as you know, Star Fleet Beacon coming out in PvZs. It's still not that common, as a lot of PvZs tend to end towards the during the mid-game tech phase. But when the game goes on long enough, give the Protoss player the opportunity, especially because Microbial Shroud is in the game now. That's what the Protoss player loves to do. Yeah.
In the previous season map pool, we saw this most commonly, and we saw Stargate Fleet Beacon play more commonly in on Eternal Empire because of how large that map is. Now with the new map pool, this could be another long macro map. Like depending on how the meta plays out on Ice and Chrome, we could see that Fleet Beacon play eventually. But yeah, well, like before we get to that, like Demi, he still hasn't scouted. I don't believe he scouted the double Stargate, so he still is unaware of what he's going up against.
He saw a single Phoenix chase away his overlords, and then decided, nah, it ain't worth it.
Yeah, he hasn't scouted anything in the main base.
Neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, but he's sending an overlord in just now as we speak. It is trying to get into the main base from the bottom right, and it looks like it should.
Yep, it's gonna die, but it's gonna see it.
Yeah, well worth its life.
Immediately turns around. So yeah, a very useful scout out from Demi. We already see some spores being thrown down. It's still pretty worrisome though. If we look at the amount of Phoenixes that Pezz has now, 7 Phoenixes. That's enough to dive in. You know, allow one gravitoning Phoenix to tank the damage, and yeah, just keep on getting drones. But Demi is on top of his queens. He is moving them back and forth.
Yeah, he does have quite a lot of queens, already a bunch of supporting spores as well, and oh boy.
This is the answer. This is the answer to a mass Phoenix type of player. I got a question for you, Light. How are Phoenixes going to prevent Niduses from popping up?
They're not.
Exactly.
Exactly, and I'm a little bit concerned because obviously these Phoenixes, they can kill Overseers and Overlords, and without some kind of vision out on the map, it would be difficult to set up Niduses, but oh my god, so many workers are going down. The entire mineral line.
Pretty much. Only one Phoenix has gone down to this. Very nice positioning there coming out from Pezz, making sure that, you know, those spores, making sure that only one Phoenix was taking damage there. Especially when those queens start to move forward.
And there we have it. There is a ling across the map. It does provide vision, and Pezz has no idea that the Nidus is on the way, and it finishes up. We will be seeing all the queens and roaches moving out across the map.
And we should start seeing some creep tumors being placed down here. I am a little bit worried though for Demi. I feel like this is not the best, not really the best position for the Knights to be in if there was for damage to be done, but it does not matter. The main focus of this for Demi is to just establish his foothold here with his queens.
There may be too much, like shield batters are being thrown down in a panic, but it could be too late. Like there's just not enough here. There's not enough forces here for Pezz. Like there are just so many queens to push away the Phoenixes as well.
But that was a pretty good use of the stasis ward. Takes a couple of roaches out of commission, but we do see that they're already being replaced. These queens have plenty of energy and plenty of transfuses. I almost want to say that it might be worth it for Pezz to just dive these Phoenixes in and pick all of them up. Focus on the Roach Ravager first, but even then, that's just opening these Phoenixes up to getting biled down.
Yeah, we'll see as the Phoenixes are trying to actually focus on the Ravagers instead of the Queens. They're doing a decent job, but oh god, there's just so much on the ground here for Demi. The Immortal is about to pop out. The shield batteries are up, trying to keep the units alive, but is there enough from Pezz?
11 probes have already gone down. The answer is no there, Light. Demi gonna be tying up the series sideways 1-1.
We're tied up.
That we are. Once again, another chapter being written here in the rivalry between Pezz and Demi.
I love the response, to be honest. Like, oh, you're gonna double Stargate me with all these mass Phoenixes? Well, I am going to Nidus you. And yeah, that was really well done. It's a really good way to utilize all the queens that Demi was using defensively, and utilize them offensively in the way we just saw. Was really nicely played.
Yeah, I mean, using those Phoenixes earlier on, getting that mineral line, that was great. But it did also prompt Demi to kind of go all in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I imagine that push would have happened regardless. Like the worker kills were nice, but like at the end of the day, like Phoenixes aren't ideal against defending stuff like that. As you were saying, like Phoenixes, they can't pick up Niduses.
Yeah, I'm imagining that right now, like it's basically those magician acts. The Phoenix lifts the Nidus, but there's still more Nidus to lift up.
Yeah, it's just the giant worms. They pull its head up and it just keeps, it's just still connected to the ground. Like it's like whatever.
I mean, eventually you gotta think the butt will come out from the other end.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, GG, that was really well played, and we are going to be getting ready for game number 3 as Pezz is setting up the lobby. Ooh.
There it is. All right, so we're not going to be seeing Golden Eternal Empire. We're going to be seeing the OG. We are seeing, of course, Cloud Kingdom. Not updated for Legacy of the Void, so it's still going to be 24 workers per mineral patch. Let's go. But starting workers are still going to be 12.
That they are. We are going to be setting up on Eternal Empire and I don't know how to call this. Like this could go either way. Like we've seen Demi with these nice reactions. We've seen Pezz again dominant in this matchup, and this could have been a best of 5 finals. This is not going to be a best of 5 finals, regardless of who wins here. They will go up against Seether. Oh boy.
He is just waiting to escape.
To escape to play Tarkov.
Escape to Tarkov, yeah.
Mm.
That's the name of it. It's a very interesting holiday destination.
Interesting is probably the right word for that, I guess. Sure. And I'd like to remind everyone, of course, that this tournament is pretty brutal. Like, there is random seeding for one, where all these top players face each other early on in the rounds, and it is winner takes all. First place gets $100 AUD. Second place walks away with nothing.
AES? No, wait, that's a time zone.
That is the time zone.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of time zones, time is thought to be eternal. It's not actually eternal, as the main theory right now is that there will eventually be an end to time once the universe starts stops expanding, because time is a bit more dependent on space. He is also a Chinese player, as Kuro will be reminding me. But yeah, speaking of which, anyway, what are you saying? Eternal Empire LE is going to be the name of the map that we are now on, where in the top right-hand corner map, spawning in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have our Purple Protoss player coming out all the way from land of M for Melbourne, representing M for Mindfreak SC. We have the Purple Protoss player Pezz.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, we have the Indian Zerg player representing Downfall Gaming. He thought he vetoed this map. He thought wrong. We'll see what comes of it. He is Demi.
Now, you can't veto Eternity.
Can you not?
You probably can.
It's interesting that Demi dislikes this map. Like
is it though? Thinking back, I mean,
I feel like it's less that he dislikes this map. Like, it may be more that he doesn't want to end up in a macro game in a ZVP.
Yeah, most likely. Demi is, of course, a player who likes to end the game, if possible, on that lair stage. Of course, with his signature Mutalist switch, or yeah, potentially even beforehand. We did speak about the rush distance on Eternal Empire. It's a fairly compact map, but actually going from one side of the map to the other, you will have to snake around a little bit. So that just adds more and more time to getting to the other side, as Demi really does like applying the pressure on his opponent.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see, as of course Pezz is throwing down the Stargate, whether Pezz goes for the same build as game number 2, thinking that on a map like Eternal Empire, there's a higher chance for success, and he just wants to go for it anyway.
It's always a possibility. He could. We did see a couple of times Fortas players trying to rush the fleet beacon, getting to that carrier tech fairly early on. Pezz usually isn't someone to do that, but he does have the, if there was ever a map for Pezz to do so, Eternal Empire would be the one.
Yeah, I'm just very curious to see if he throws out another Stargate or if he throws out a Twilight Council instead. Like, what will the follow-up be from this initial Stargate opener, as, oh, he is going for double Phoenix. No Oracle.
Huh, alright. It's fairly early on. I guess we're going to be seeing a bit of a repeat from the previous game. Demi will be scout going in, should be confirming that a Phoenix is coming out of that Stargate. Now he's doubly confirmed, triple Phoenix coming up from the site of Pezz. He is looking to have that snowball effect very early on.
Again, I'm just really curious to see what he'll throw down. Demi, of course, he's responding. He's throwing down a bunch of spores, throwing down an Evo chamber as well, which is quite nice. Still no tech buildings though from Demi. No Bailey Nest, no Roach Warren, nothing of the sort quite yet.
Well, is going for that Evo chamber, so potentially we might see a +1.
There it is.
Yeah, there's a +1. Will it be a Nidus, though, is the question, or will it just be a move across the map?
It could just be a Link Flood. I mean, a Link Flood would do quite nicely against all these Phoenixes. Phoenixes don't really do too well trying to lift up multiple units like that. And I'm a little bit concerned because we do have a Robo on the way for Pezz, but he needs to realize that this is coming so he can just set up defensively with shield batteries.
Calling it now. Phoenix Colossus.
Oh god, this is so scary. Like, mass Phoenixes are not what you want against mass Lings. There are just too many Lings to pick up. But will he be able to spot this? Like, if he goes around and if he sees the Evo chamber, then maybe he can figure it out.
Well, the Bailey Nest has been thrown down behind us, so I was gonna say Pezz should be in a good position if Demi does go for that Link Flood, because he has the wall set up. He can just warp in a couple of Adepts or something just to keep him alive, but he is going for that third base, and with the Bailings, could be looking pretty rough here for Pezz.
Yeah, I mean, Demi, he's gonna look for a strong timing with this +1 melee, and Pezz, he saw a glimpse of the Balian Nest, but I don't think he clicked on it, so he's still unaware, and 22 Lings are on the way. Oh no, and he's getting a robotic spay as well. He's taking up too much, I feel.
I called it. Actually, it's probably gonna be Disruptor Phoenix, isn't it?
I don't think
Colossus Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, he may not even get there. There are just so many Lings here hitting the third base, trying to sneak in. It looks like the wall is a wall for now.
And there's a shield battery, but it's on the wrong side of the map. Thankfully for Pezz, these Lings haven't been targeting out at a depth, trying to go for these very healthy buildings here. So that does buy him quite a bit of time here.
Yeah, so far, solid defense.
Yeah, now with the cannon here in the third base, with the shield battery as well, he's got enough energy for a battery overcharge if he so needs it. And
Demi understands this. He's starting to drone up. Like, he went in with all those Lings, and the force fields are just so good for Pezz. He was able to. Oh god!
Not in that case, though.
Not in that case. The force fields didn't go down. All the sentries go down as well. There is one Bailing here, but is there enough to hold?
Well, there is a battery overcharge, but it is being used on that pylon for the time being. The Adepts and Immortals are starting to move out here for Pezz. Should be able to clear out these Lings, but despite not getting a lot of economic damage, I say that, but 4 probes have gone down. They did trade decently well here against the Storm.
I do still want to give the edge to Pezz. I think even looking at the units lost, like he's traded a lot more efficiently. The big blow for Pezz is that he did lose quite a number of sentries.
Indeed, he did. That's absolutely what you want when... Apparently I made the right prediction, Light. As Pezz is starting to go for that Colossus, they can do very well versus these Hydralisks that Demi's trying to tech into to deal with the Phoenixes. But only with Thermal Lance.
Yeah, and we'll see how Pezz's army composition goes. I do like that he's also getting the Templar Archives. I was about to say that when it comes to the AoE, Storm is the ideal AoE you want. But regardless, like mixing AoEs, like getting Colossus and Storm at the same time works really nicely as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that you're not dropping here, as Pezz is going for the very anti-light army. I can hear you shaking your head from here. You're going into this whole bit. I was expecting, I was gonna be like, yeah, I thought you'd like drop from the call here because of what Pezz is making. But yeah, this is pretty much the army that you want when your opponent is going for a sort of Massling Bane style like Demi is going for. He is starting to get his Hydralisk upgrades though, and will be switching into a more Hydra Roach composition, as they do decently well versus Colossus. Not too well versus Mortals though, and not too well versus a lot of Colossus, as we've learned in the past couple of weeks.
All right, I've just finished shaking my head. All right, where were we? God damn it, yeah.
Demi's switching his composition.
He's going Ling, Bane, Hydra. We have an Infestation Pit on the way as well, which will finish up quite nicely, so you can start working on that +3 potentially. And there we have Extended Thermal Lance finishing up. We got Blink on the way as well, just in case for those Mutalisks. So Pezz just making sure he's covering all of his bases, and yeah, I'm honestly a little bit concerned here. We have Demi trying to move out.
Yeah, I'm even more concerned now when those Lings run face forward into Thermal Lance. We do see a bit of a run by coming in here from Pezz. Gonna be stretching Demi's focus so much here. Even setting up a bit of a sandwiching.
Yeah, I do like the Demi prioritize getting Ravagers out. He will need those against the force fields, but again, we've seen Pezz and how on point he is at replacing them.
Yeah, catching these queens off guard, that is absolutely massive. There's not going to be a lot of transfuses here. In fact, I'm not even convinced that that's going to be the determinant factor here.
Oh my God, he picks up the Ravagers!
Yeah, the Banelings eventually connect with the Zealots, but they don't do too much besides that. Pezz is starting to lose his buffer, but already so much economic damage has been done thanks to that extended Thermal Lance here. The warping of Chargelets to replace those that he lost.
Yeah, and at the same time, there's a massive Ling run by at the third base of Pezz. At the same time, the fourth of Demi is going down, and Pezz lost 17 probes. Demi lost 18 workers, and we can see the supplies are quite similar as they do go, like they do just kind of knock each other out there.
Yeah, kind of, but I will say that they've knocked each other down, but Pezz still has a bit of a position here in front of Demi's face. Demi has been basically wiped out, or his run-by has been wiped out.
Yeah, I will say the big problem here for Demi is that even though he killed a bunch of probes, which is nice, Pezz has 4 bases. He has 4 Nexuses, and Demi has 3 hatcheries. That's something you never want to see as a Zerg player. And what that means is that Pezz can make 4 probes at a time. He can replenish his worker count a little more easily, and we can see he's already ahead in the worker count.
Chrono Boost is definitely a heck of a drug. We see that translated now into the actual sizes of their armies.
Yeah.
Pezz is biding his time a little bit. Now we see that big warp in.
Oh my God, he's getting a 5th.
He is. And he's getting the 5th base right in Demi's territory here. This is a power move if I've ever seen one.
It is. He is asserting his dominance as we speak, and Pezz, like in that last engagement, like he was able to save the majority of all of his Colossus actually. So the amount of AoE he has is insane. He forces the cancel on the 4th base. Demi, he's being suffocated right now, stuck on 3 bases.
Indeed, he is. He's very desperate right now, which is gonna come down to these engagements. Demi has made a couple of Vipers, which I feel you don't normally see in a ZVP, but in this case it might be what he needs here. Maybe a couple of Lightning Clouds being thrown down, a couple of yoinks.
Okay,
He's giving up his third. He's moving
yeah.
all of his drones back. He cannot mine from that. And now these Banelings do actually connect with these chargelets. That is the first step here for Demi. But now he needs to make use of everything else he's got.
Yeah, Demi now down to 2 bases. The one thing going for him is he does have Hive, he does have those Vipers, so he could try and snipe and pick off those Colossus, but oh my, again, like he's looking, like Pezz is just getting more and more ahead.
He is slowly but surely, and I'm really loving how he's just taking out this base, taking out another base, and after every time, just backing away. He is not committing to closing out the game, because it does come back to what we were saying a lot earlier. A lot of the times, players kind of overextend a little bit by trying to close it out. A fleet beacon now on the way from Pezz, and that should just be the final nail in the coffin here.
Okay, here we go.
Not a lot of buffer here, actually, for Pezz.
A lot of...
Look at the yoinks and the Colossus. A couple of lightning clouds being thrown down as well. This is actually a fantastic trade for Demi.
I was about to say, even though the Banelings didn't trade too efficiently, like he is able to take down almost all the Colossus. There's only one left, and what is there to protect them? 2 Archons and an Immortal?
Well, 2 Archons and Immortal and extended Thermal Hands, I think, is something you really can't underestimate. We see that chipping away at Demi's Hydra slowly but surely.
Yeah, and the problem is that was such an expensive trade for both players, to be fair, but Pezz is the one who has the economy that can replace everything that he lost. Demi, he's struggling to even get his third up.
Well, he has the economy, he has the resources. Does he have the production for that, though? He is starting to bank up a little bit, trying to go into his Golden Armada. But I don't think he can go to that now.
Yeah, and I love how Demi, like he's utilizing the one advantage that he has, and that is his Hive tech. So he is working on his lurkers, he's working on his lurker upgrades as well, lurker range. So this is exactly what he needs to be focusing on as a Zerg player. But like, will he be able to keep up with Pezz? As Pezz, he's almost fully saturated on 5 bases.
That
almost
very slowly about to be, yeah.
5 probes at a time.
Workers. Yeah. He's already up about 20 workers, and that number's going to get higher and higher.
Yeah, the
army composition not going to be too focused on those very easily targeted Colossus now. But he is starting to move into lurkers, and that is not at all what you want to happen. He does get some very good storm connections, though, and you know there's a yoink on that Colossus, but not a lot to really take care of it. The lurkers eventually deal with them, but I think the observer got sniped. No, it didn't. Oh, but in the end, it was enough. Demi realizes what the position that he's in, then. GG. Pezz did sustain quite a bit of casualties there. Demi trading about evenly, but by the point that final engagement happened, Demi saw the writing on the wall. Pezz could replenish that army. Demi could not.
Yeah,
He called.
Yeah, again, like it was so good that Demi was focusing on those lurkers, and he won the engagement. He won the fight. You could even see the supplies were quite close to each other. But I think towards the end, I think Demi realized just how behind he was economically, how greedy Pezz was, and how aggressive he was with his expanding. And even though Pezz wasn't fighting very efficiently at all, he was even losing some of those fights. He could just replace it. Like the economy was just so great for the Protoss that he could afford to trade in the way he was.
That he could. That was very I'm not sure what the word I'm thinking of here to use is, like, but that was definitely Pezz taking incremental advantages.
Yeah.
Taking a base here, taking a couple workers there. Meanwhile, he was going to be building up his economy back at home, getting more and more bases out, and eventually that translated to having a much, much better economy where he could afford to trade his armies evenly.
Yeah, essentially, he just kind of ground Demi down. Like, just bit by bit, he just chipped away at Demi, and Demi just kept losing a 4th base, forcing a cancel, losing his 3rd base as well, losing a bunch of his, like, high-tech units, like, just blow after blow. Like, Demi, he was just, yeah, it was was rough to see. And GG, well played. Pezz advances to the finals.
Indeed, he does. Going to be facing off a old nemesis here, or an old friend here in Seether.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're gonna play a bunch of Tarkov after this, after this best of 5. I'm sure Demi is a bit upset. He's like, "Yo, I want to play some Dota. Like, give me back my Pezz." But yeah, GG, well played. And Seether has been waiting for quite some time. Hopefully, he's still with us. Hopefully, he's still there, as we will be heading in to a TVP. And I just love how this tournament has worked out for Pezz. Like Pezz, I don't know if you realize this, he beat Probe in a PvP, beat Demi in a PvZ, and now he's up against Seether in a PvT. He's going through all the matches today and looking to prove himself to be one of the best, or the best, in the region.
His opponents are going to have quite some material to study, is what I'm a little worried about coming this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pezz is definitely establishing himself here. He hasn't quite gotten that ESL Open Cup Fueled by Dare Championship, but one thing to keep in mind, Pezz is our most recent GPO champion. Yeah,
definitely, and that could go into this, as Pezz, he did win GPO over the weekend, and that was a tell to his performance in the qualifiers, and even his performance today here in the Dare Cup. We could see him continue on with his reign, with his dominance, and yeah, I'm just excited to see how he does in a PvT.